Hello, everyone. I'm Eyde-Tucker, your Florida homeschool advisor and evaluator. And today is October 20th. And around this time of year, it's common for parents to begin homeschooling, specifically parents who have decided to pull their children from the school that they've been attending the past 9 weeks. So for most schools in Florida, the first quarter grades have posted, and that's usually a time when parents decide to pull their students from schools. This is a really common situation, and if that describes you, then I'm going to share some helpful information to hopefully make your transition to homeschooling a lot smoother. So first of all, if you're watching this and you began homeschooling last year in the middle of the school year, then around this time of year, like now or soon, your first annual evaluation will be due. So I'm a homeschool evaluator, and I can help you get that done quickly and easily. So I'll post a link in the comments and also in the description of this video so that you can go ahead and schedule that. And, I'm happy to help. And you'll see that that is a very quick and easy process. So if you've made the decision to put your student from a public or a private school to homeschool mid-year, then there are some things that you should know. So first of all, I want you to know that you're not alone. This is a very common occurrence. Many parents will figure out after the first quarter grades come in that the situation at the child's school for your particular student is maybe not tenable. Like this, something needs to change, and the school's not maybe willing to change, or there's nothing that they can do to make it different or better for your child. So then a lot of parents are faced with the reality. They're like, I'm going to have to take the matters in my own hands. And thankfully, we have a homeschooling law that allows you to withdraw your child at any time of the year. So there's no restrictions on you, beginning homeschooling in the middle of October, for example, or in November, or any month of the year, actually. So I just want you to know that your parental rights give you the ability to withdraw your child whenever you see fit. There are lots of reasons why parents withdraw their children from a public or private school. Perhaps the school isn't meeting your child's academic needs, right? Maybe it's not moving fast enough, or maybe it's a lot of busy work, or maybe your child is bored, or maybe your child is struggling and can't keep up because they're just moving too fast, or maybe the teaching is not great. Maybe the school is not willing to accommodate your child's educational needs. Like there are lots of reasons why, academically speaking, your child might be better served in a homeschool situation, right? There are other reasons. Perhaps the school environment is toxic, and maybe your child is suffering from being bullied by students or administrators or teachers, right? That happens as well, not just kids. And that could mean that school is unbearable for your child, even though they're capable of learning and there's nothing necessarily wrong academically speaking. The toxic environment makes it so that your child is maybe suffering emotionally or mentally. So those are all, important reasons why you might want to pull a student from a school environment, right? And, I'm not saying in any way by saying that I'm anti-public school or anything like that. It's just that the reality of the situation for individual students is what we as parents are dealing with on a one-by-one basis. So we have to make decisions that are best for our child, right? Regardless of what we feel about the public education system as a whole, right? Our student needs us to help them. So that's why homeschooling is, very widespread, and, all sorts of people from all types of backgrounds homeschool now. But whatever the reason, I just want you to know that you're not alone, and that you can homeschool your student, and you can get them the academic help that they need, and you can keep them or get them on track to move forward. So So I'm just going to share a couple of things like nuts and bolts information to help you make sure that you've done the right things so that you can homeschool, successfully moving forward. So the first thing you need to do is to send a letter of intent. When you send the letter of intent to your county, you are establishing a school in your home that is considered equal to a public or private school. So you're not asking the county when you send your letter of intent to approve your homeschool. They don't have the authority to approve your homeschool. They are required to accept your letter of intent. And they are required to create an attendance record for your child in their system. So make sure that when you send that letter of intent that you keep track or keep a copy of that for yourself, and make sure that you've made a note of the date that you said that you were going to begin homeschooling, because that's the date that you will have to send your annual evaluation. It doesn't matter how long you homeschool for, whether it's for 12 months or 1 month. If you send a letter of intent, then once a year, by the anniversary date of your letter of intent, you are required to send an annual evaluation. And if you terminate your homeschool before that year is up, you're still required to send an evaluation in order for the county to accept your letter of termination. So that's just a nuts and bolts thing. So sending the letter is not enough, though. The letter of intent is not the only thing you have to do. You also need to make sure that you have formally withdrawn your student from their previous school. And the way to do that is to appear in person, take a copy of your letter of intent with you, because they are required to verify that your student is enrolled in another school. That's in our state statute. So giving them that letter of intent, is the proof that they need that the student is now a homeschooled student. In the comments or in the description of this video, I have included links to an article that explains step by step everything you need to do, and it includes also sample text for a letter of intent that you can copy and paste to make your own letter of intent. Okay, so once you get those things done, then you are officially homeschooling, and you're no longer on anyone else's schedule. You are not required to follow any public school days or hours. That doesn't apply to your student anymore. There's a lot of freedom that comes with homeschooling, and that means that you can take the time that your student needs to meet their needs. For example, if your student needs to remediate in a particular subject, like maybe when you saw their first quarter grades, you're like, oh my gosh, they're way behind in math. Like, how did that happen? You might need to go back to brass tacks and help them get on track in math. That's a common occurrence, right? Or English language arts, for example. Same thing. Or perhaps your child might need to take a mental break because the situation at the school was so overwhelming for them that they really need some time to recover, right? And that's also, within your right to do, because you're no longer anyone else's timeline. So you can take the time that you need to help your student, get back on track, whatever that means or looks like for your student. You can choose any curriculum that you want to. So you can do school in a way that makes sense for your child and for your family's lifestyle. There are so many options that it can definitely be a little overwhelming. But I do want you to know there are many options. There is lots of ways to go about it. You have the flexibility that you need in order to, maybe focus more on certain subjects and maybe not so much on others, or do a combination of structured schooling with maybe some more experiential schooling. Like, you can get creative as well with their education so that it actually fits your student and is tailored to their needs, rather than have them, basically like be forced into another type of schooling that doesn't serve them, right? I know it can be overwhelming, so if you would like some guidance on like what curriculum to choose and how to begin, I'm happy to help. You can schedule a phone call, or if your student is a high school student, then you can also schedule a Zoom consultation with me, and we can schedule a diploma audit, which will help you make sure that they're on track for graduation. That's actually my area of specialty, is the high school years. So I do a lot of consulting with students, with parents of students in the middle grades, middle school grades, and high school grades, to help them prepare for, graduation, or what that could look like. A lot of parents don't know if they want to commit to homeschooling long term, right? If you are homeschooling for the first time in the middle of the school year, and you're like, I know we need to do something better. This is not working, but I don't know what. And I can't think too much about the future right now. I just need to think about the here and now. If I can get them back on track so that they can finish this grade, then I'll think about what comes next, right? And that is normal and common as well. So I also want you to know you're not alone in that thinking. You know, if you think that you might want to make sure that your student, finishes the grade strong so that they could potentially transfer back to a public or private school, that's possible as well, especially in these early stages, right? But also, I don't want to dissuade you. If this is on your mind and you're still not ready to like pull your child out of a school, but then come January, you're like, no way, we got to do this now. It's still okay. Just know that it just takes a lot more focus, action earlier, because you have less time to complete everything your student might need to complete, or recover any grades that they might need to recover before they need to be transferred back to a public or private school. So again, I'm very well versed in that process. I've been doing this for 20 years. So if you would like some help with that, please reach out, right? So I do want you to know, though, that many parents do successfully navigate this time with their children. Obviously, success means different things for different students, but depending on the situation, you might need to give your student a 2-week break just to recover from a potentially toxic situation, or they might need more time than that, right? And taking a little break or giving them a little bit of a buffer so that you can both regroup, do some research, figure out how to go about completing the school year, can help you both, especially if you work on it together, right? I always tell parents that we should always involve our students, if we can, if it's age appropriate, in their educational decisions, because the more that they participate in that process, the more that they begin to feel an ownership of their education. Because at the end of the day, education is an asset, but it is their asset. It is their education, not ours. So we want them to be involved as much as possible so that they can see how, their input is valuable and can help tailor their education so it actually meets their needs and meets, their goals, and it's meaningful to them, right? So that's important. So if you need the time, take the time. Sometimes when students are in a toxic school situation and it's affecting them mentally or emotionally, then that time is absolutely crucial. And to know that, and to give them the help that they need, perhaps a therapy or what have you, whatever it is that you decide is best for your child, to give them the help that they need so that they can feel like themselves again, and also so they can either not lose their love for learning, or in many cases regain their love for learning, because that's something that happens in schools sometimes too, right? So for individual students. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is that parents tend to learn a lot about their students when they're homeschooling for the very first time, because the first year of homeschooling is a year of trial and error. That's just how it is. That's the nature of the first year, right? Maybe you don't necessarily know all you need to know about where your child's at and how they learn. like what learning preferences your child actually has. So sometimes you might make a choice curriculum-wise that you thought, okay, this looks like it would be a good curriculum, and it is a good curriculum, but it turns out it's not a great fit for your student, right? So that information that you learn along the way can be really helpful, especially if you decide at the end of the year that you might want to continue homeschooling at least for another year. So then you can apply everything that you learned in the first year to the second year, right? So I want you to know that that process can feel uncomfortable sometimes, but if you always keep in mind that, you know, we're learning here, and we can use this information to make it better, then, and if you always communicate that with your student, and if your student has that same you know, mentality or that same outlook, then it can actually be really helpful going forward, right? So I hope this video helps you feel more confident about your decision. That's my goal. My goal is to empower you to make good decisions for your child's education with accurate information and solid tools. If I can help in any way, please reach out via email, text. You can private message me on Facebook. I'm always happy to help at any stage of this journey. So thanks for watching. And if you have chosen to homeschool in the middle of the year, congratulations. And you are not alone. And I'm here to help you. So please lean on me if you need help. Thanks, y'all.